One of the most frequent errors made in everyday writing is the misuse of commas. People overuse them and underuse them. We all learn how to use commas when we begin learning how to write, but those rules can be difficult to remember. Let's see whether I can simplify things for you. Commas are used in writing to indicate a pause. Think about how you speak. When we speak, we pause naturally where commas would go in our writing. So did you hear the pause F for me after when we speak? That's where a comma goes. So when you're in doubt about where to place a comma, read your writing out loud. Read it naturally, and you will hear where there should be pauses or commas. Let me go over some of the generally accepted conventions for where we place commas. First, we use a comma before the conjunction in a compound sentence. If you don't remember what that is, it's two sentences joined by a conjunction. And conjunctions are words like and or but or. For instance, nearly everyone has heard of love at first sight, but I fell in love at first dance. We have two sentences here joined by the conjunction but. Nearly everyone has heard of love at first sight. I fell in love at first dance. So we put a comma before that conjunction but. Here's another example. I wanted to have some ice cream and I found the perfect flavor at Haagen-Dazs. Two sentences. I wanted to have some ice cream. I found the perfect flavor at Haagen-Dazs. So again, a conjunction with a comma puts together those two complete sentences. Keep in mind that each half of the sentence must be able to stand on its own. To use the comma, must be able to stand on its own. So does this sentence need a comma? Read it out loud. Brothers make interesting siblings, and I have 5 of them. Yes, did you hear the pause? Brothers make interesting siblings, and I have 5 of them. What about this one? The wizards knew that they were in danger, but they also knew that they had an advantage. Again, read it out loud. The wizards knew that they were in danger, but they also knew that they had an advantage. Did you see that each part of the sentence could stand alone? That's why both sentences required a comma. Did you hear my pause when I read them out loud? Okay. The second convention to remember is that we use a comma between all items in a series. I am a huge believer and fan of the Oxford comma. The Oxford comma is just a fancy term for a comma before the last item in a series. Maggie believed in fairies, sprites, and all other magical creatures. Comma, comma. A comma before the last item in the series. Here's another example. Julia loves the work of Shakespeare, Austen, and Adichie. Again, comma, comma. Every item in the series is connected with a comma. I should say separated by a comma. All right, the third convention can be confusing to a lot of writers. We use a comma between adjectives that are not joined with and. These have to be what grammarians call coordinate adjectives. Please don't worry about remembering that term. I'm just going to show you how it works. So, Maddie is a warm, gentle, affectionate sister. We can replace those commas with and. Maddie is a warm and gentle and affectionate sister. We can use commas as long as they can be replaced with an in this adjective series. Here's another example. She loved the blue elbow-length sparkly gloves given to her for her bat mitzvah. She loved the blue and elbow-length and sparkly gloves given to her for her bat mitzvah. So you need the commas because you can replace those commas with and. What about this sentence? Is this correct? The lush, green, prickly leaves worried the mother at the park. Is it correct? Are these commas correctly placed? Yes, this is correct. The lush and green and prickly leaves worried the mother at the park. One more. What about this one? The bright red button dazzled the baby. No, you cannot use a comma between bright and red because bright is defining red. They have to go together. We wouldn't say the bright and red. The bright red button dazzled the baby. So no comma there. All right, the fourth convention. Commas are used to set off what we consider unnecessary in a sentence. For example, for camp, the children need sturdy shoes, which are expensive. Which are expensive, though interesting, is not necessary in the sentence. For camp, the children need sturdy shoes. So we do need a comma, and you should have heard the pause there. Here's another example. The helicopter, with its million candle power spotlight illuminating the area, circled above. Again, interesting idea in the middle, but not essential for this sentence, whose main idea is that the helicopter is circling above. So you do have to set it apart with commas. All right, 2 more conventions to go. We use commas to set off what we call parenthetical expressions, and you'll understand with the examples. As a matter of fact, American football was established by fans who wanted to play a more organized game of rugby. As a matter of fact is inessential. It is considered a parenthetical expression. You know, when you're writing and you use parentheses, it's often something that is aside from the main point. And that's why this is called parenthetical. We can take that off and we still have a sentence that makes perfect sense. Normally, parenthetical expressions are there because they establish some kind of nuance or tone in the sentence. Here's another example. The information, however, was inaccurate. Again, however is inessential. It does provide a tone for the sentence, but the information was inaccurate is a sentence all by itself. Will decided, nonetheless, not to buy the car. Nonetheless, again, inessential. It's not necessary, so we do need commas. Will decided not to buy the car. Nonetheless tells us something else about the story. All right, the last convention we're going to look at is the use of commas to set off direct address when you're speaking to somebody, and what are called mild interjections, which always amuses me. Forgive us, Dr. Atkins, for having rolls with dinner this evening. So Dr. Atkins is being directly addressed, and so we set him off with commas. Here's another. Yes, the proposal will probably be approved. So this is not necessary. The yes is not necessary. The proposal will probably be approved. So we do not really need the yes. We can put a comma there for it. Well, cases like this are difficult to decide. Again, a mild interjection, we're going to set it off. And finally, the film was faithful to the book, wasn't it? Did you hear the pause? All right, so you can see that using commas correctly is not as daunting as it might appear to be. Remember to read your writing out loud and listen for the natural pauses. Most of the time, that is exactly where you want to place a comma. All right, thank you for your attention and your time.